by welcoming everybody, first of all, and welcoming our guest, Janet Harvey. It is an honor. We've all heard so much about you, and we're looking forward to getting to know you and a little bit about your coaching journey today. I just want to make a quick announcement before we start, if that's okay. I just want to remind everybody that we do have a members-only WhatsApp group. So if you would like to join that group, if you're not already on it, please connect with any one of us or our Director of Membership, Alia, and she can help you get on that. It's a platform to connect with other coaches in the kingdom, and it is a great way for us to sort of exchange ideas. If you have any kind of service or webinar training that you would like to share, please send us, your board, that information. We'll approve it and we'll even support you through it as long as it's a free event and open to everybody. Okay, so that's it for announcements. Let's get to the good stuff. Welcome, Janet.
Thank you so much. It's a delight to be here. Those of you that have been in other platforms like this with me know that one of my very favorite things to do is to give back to our community. I believe in the principle of reciprocal prosperity, that when we give into a field that is open and available for it, it always returns in equal or greater measure. So thanks for the opportunity to come and hang out with you guys for a little while and do our favorite thing, which is coaching.
Excellent. Another quick note, this session is being recorded, just so you know, and it will be featured on our YouTube channel as well. All right. So Janet, I have to ask a question.
Only one? Come on.
Let me start. I'm going to get the ball rolling here.
Okay.
It's my favorite question to ask coaches, and especially when there's a coach that at the MCC level, such as yourself, I have to ask, what is your favorite coaching question?
The one the client evokes in me. And that's worthy of a little more exploration. So I don't find this so much in our public enrollment programs, but in our work inside of organizations, I always have them say, can you just write down all those questions you ask? Can I just have a cheat sheet that I can use when I'm away practicing coaching? And I don't do that. I don't ever give out a cheat sheet of questions. Now, why? Because we're in a partnership where our role is to be 100% available and on behalf of the other. What we think, what we hypothesize, what we interpret, what we analyze is irrelevant. In fact, it's not only irrelevant, it's disrespectful. Because our commitment in the coaching partnership is that the other has an opportunity to be in a creative thinking process that maximizes their potential, which I'm never going to understand. I might have some guesses, I might have some intuition, but the truth is, I'm never going to get to know them as well as they know themselves. So if I think that my contribution comes from my experience and my knowledge, then I'm essentially saying, I know more than you, clients. Therefore, we're not in a partnership that is peer-to-peer, and I'm not respecting what they know about themselves, which means I've now violated cultivating trust and safety. So my very best coaching question is what's evoked in me from the experience of my client as being with me in a moment. Now, in practical terms, if I'm reading a session update that a client has sent me before we meet and I'm reflecting on the things they've told me they've been making progress on or being challenged by, is it activating my curiosity? Of course. It's what's evoking in me. And I might ask a question based on something that I saw on that sheet. Not at an informational level. I'm asking a question to say, so what was moving in you that prompted that choice that you made? How did that choice honor or reflect something you were wanting to change in yourself? So it is true that the words the client speaks are important, but mostly to activate my curiosity about how are they relating to whatever it is we're working on. So the best question is the one that's evoked from within me on behalf of that client.
That's beautiful. So it is that firm belief that the client is the expert on their own life. And it's having that curiosity without judgment that leads you to crafting that perfect question for the sake of the client and not for your own sake. It's that listening that, okay.
Now, you said something there that's worthy of poking on a little bit too.
Uh-oh. Okay.
It's the J word.
Judgment.
Mm. And there are lots of schools of thought about this, so I will confess my bias that comes out of many years of experience here.
I won't judge you.
You're welcome to, because guess what? As human beings, judgment is an incredibly important resource we possess. Go all the way back to before we had language and we were living off the land. Judgment was necessary to discern, is this safe or not safe? What are the resources available to me? What is the way I take care of myself? That's the exercise of judgment is an incredibly important human resource. When we have the phrase that says be non-judgmental or suspend judgment, we're not talking about the judgment. We are talking about our habits and our preferences for behaving in response to a situation or a circumstance in a certain way so that I can stay safe. It's the response and the fact that it's habit, not purposely chosen, is that gets us in trouble. All of the turmoil in the world right now, right? We have history and legacy and systemic forces that are causing people to react from their judgment in ways that are very unattractive and anger provoking and sadness provoking, and all because that reactivity is unbridled. There's nobody at home being conscious about the choice. So as coaches, we have an opportunity to be with judgment in a very different way. So the first piece I'd offer is noticing that judgment has arisen. In us, our judgment is activated. Something the client has said, we're kind of going, that didn't sit so well with me. I could be on the positive side, right? We could get very excited about something a client has said and they're not excited at all. Right? So this isn't just about negativity. It's judgment, reaction has stimulated. Noticing it and pausing. Whatever way you do to short circuit finishing the sentence in your head. Oh, I see this emotion. Oh, I see these words. I hear these words. Therefore, it must mean something. And we fill in the blank of what it means based on our experience. And we're going to be wrong because we don't live in our client's life. And that's who we're beholden to. So noticing the judgment and pausing, taking a deep breath to not finish the sentence. Keep listening. Keep listening. Stay in what's disturbing you, because in the seed of that disturbance holds something new for the client. And then we can ask a question that we don't know the answer to. No strings attached. It's a question that comes right on the pearl of what the client has said that's disturbed us. We ask the question without attachment. We hold it in full acceptance, even though it might be shaking us to the core because it doesn't fit with our value system, or it doesn't fit with our culture. It doesn't fit with our experience of life. It's like so rattling, but it's not about us. It's about the clients. They've said it for their benefit. What is it that's moving in them? That's a common question I'll ask. What's moving in you that has you make that declaration? So they have that moment to realize no matter what they say, no matter what they offer, I'm there in acceptance of that. I'm there in service to be useful, to contribute to their learning, and that comes on the other side of the awareness. If I get chickened out of being in that moment of disturbance, of that moment of awareness, we will cut off the opportunity for the client to have something new emerge that's useful. Nobody comes to coaching to do a conversation about stuff they already know. Why would you pay money for that? Come on. We come to coaching because there's something we're yearning for. There's something that is moving in us that is saying, there's more here for me, or there's something different I want now. I'm not sure how to go about making my choices towards that different thing. But that means I have to find the place to say out loud, I don't trust myself to get there, or whatever it might be that evokes the judgment in us. We have a responsibility to not react and to move into unconditional curiosity. So judgment is a coach's best friend, in my way of thinking.
Wow. Okay, so I wrote down, stay in what's disturbing you, because that's going to be my new mantra. Thank you very much. I love it.
You're welcome.
And I love your outlook on judgment. And I agree. Judgment is human nature. I do see the power, or I respect the power that it holds. So I guess as long as we are able to release kind of any attachment to our judgments for the sake of our client, that would make that relationship a lot more meaningful, probably.
Yeah.
Wow.
And you're raising another point here that's worthy of some attention. And this comes up a lot in coaching supervision, because judgment is part of the human condition, we all get triggered.
Yes.
I've been doing this almost 30 years. There isn't a day that goes by that I don't have some conversation where I'm like, wow, what just happened in that conversation? That's my work to do, right? That's what I take to my coach or to my coaching supervision sessions if I start to see a pattern of it getting triggered. It's important to allow ourselves to have the experience of it and grow our muscle to self-manage it, so that we're not pulling ourselves out of presence with the client. We stay with them. We're there on their behalf. We finish the session. If you all don't have a reflection practice post sessions, this would be a good one to add into your quiver. Even if it's only 5 minutes, take a few minutes and ask yourself, what was my experience of this session? Where did I find myself in any spectrum of judgment? I'm elated. I'm thrilled at the client's breakthrough. Did that keep me from challenging? Did I step back too far in that moment of celebration and forget my responsibility to evoke the client to not only celebrate, but to say, and how will you integrate? How will you sustain this? What will be next for you? Because that's our responsibility. So my positive judgment got in the way if I only celebrated it and I didn't bring it to the next level for that client. Or in the other case, the client has said something that really set me off, and I was so distracted that I probably missed 5 minutes of what the client said. And I didn't say anything. I didn't say, time out, I'm having a reaction, which is important to do. Showing our vulnerability, being able to demonstrate our humanity. We're all subject to the same forces right now. So if I don't reveal, I'm actually saying to the client, it's not okay for you to reveal invisibly. So reflection after a session is how you begin to catch the places where our habits hook us, where our own reactivity is worthy of spending some time and attention in our own coaching practice for ourselves to examine, to say, what's moving in me? What's wanting my attention? Without clearing your field, when it shows up again with the next clients, you won't be able to stay present. So this is one way, this reflection on your own judgments is a way to heighten your quality as a professional coach.
I would love to continue this conversation because it is, maybe maybe we can invite you another day so we can talk more about judgment, because I can't stop. I really want to be able to digest all of this. You are giving us so much to think about. Okay, so let me just state, I will not stay in what's disturbing me right now. My brain is going like this. I'm going to move forward.
Thank goodness for recordings, right?
I know. Like, oh my goodness. Okay, so Janet, why don't you tell us a little bit about today's webinar?
I actually have no idea where we'll go today, other than we'll do a coaching demonstration and have some time to do a bit of a debrief. And I noticed that you titled it with the word artistry, artful mastery. And I'm curious, we have a small enough group here, I would love for them to use the chat pod here. And, you know, what are a few words that capture how you're translating artful mastery? It's interesting putting the two together, isn't it? So mastery in my vernacular is much more about, I have reached a place of unconscious competence. It flows naturally, it's fully integrated, and the it is the technical aspects. I've mastered the craft of coaching. Artful for me brings in a very different quality, which is that I've suspended the need to be masterful because that's in my being. I'm not pulling out the tools from my tool belt and applying them to the situation. They flow more naturally because it's integrated into my being. So artistry then is about the spontaneous moment. How fully will I allow myself to merge into the field being created along with my clients, and to experience in that moment something I couldn't predict, that's only a function of that moment, and that moment will never exist again. It's heart-filled, it's soul-filled, it's spirit-filled. It's an invisible quality that we call the field that gets created between the two of us. Our artfulness is trusting what I'm experiencing in the field and allowing it to emerge out of my mouth and to be with. Sometimes artful sessions have long periods of silence in them because both parties, the coach and the client, are allowing it to kind of sift all the way through the filters and to acknowledge that what's been shared is profound and worthy of witness through silence. Trusting that moment, that's artfulness. So that's the way I would define artful mastery. I'd love to see if others in the group have a perspective on this, so that as we're watching the coaching demo, we have an opportunity to see, what did you see me do that you thought was artful? What did you see me do that you thought was mastery? And when you put the two together, now how would you define that? And then on the other side of the demo, we'll have a bit of a discussion.
Great.
Okay.
Any thoughts or insights from the group before we go ahead with the demo? So please go ahead and enter it into that chat box, please.
Or open your mic. You can do either one, I suppose. We're just 17, right?
Yeah, looks like it. Is everybody shy? Have to stay in what's disturbing us. Come on.
That's fun, Ellen.
I'm thinking imaginative and with enough of a handle on the skills of coaching that you really have lots and lots of freedom to be imaginative and explore.
Yeah. I particularly like the term imaginative, Alan, because it leaves a lot of freedom in the territory. And oftentimes we can get into a rut in our coaching. We use our most familiar and dominant ways of communicating and learning together. And imaginative says, let's do something we don't normally do. So I'm very visual, much more visual than I am analytic, although I have that capability. So every now and then I'll challenge my clients who are learning style visual like me. let's make a formula out of this. What plus what equals what? Right? We'll just go to an analytic use in our vocabulary to challenge ourselves to do something a little outside our comfort zone. Because everything we want is outside our comfort zone because we want it. We don't have it. It's not in our current way of going. So I think that having imagination as a strong value in our professional work is one pathway to artistry. Okay, let's see. Curious, creative, and trusting. Yes, 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 yes. Between the wrongdoing and the right doing. I love that, Aref. And just to be devil's advocate, what if it's in the implicit unsaid region? In the place beyond right and wrong is the implicit unsaid region. And this is where change happens. And here's the thing, right and wrong means we have some standard. It's a judgment. It's right versus a standard. It's wrong versus a standard, which could be values. It could be beliefs. It could be policy. It could be a principle. Nonetheless, it's a standard of some sort. So if we're serious about maximizing potential, what is potential? It's the ability to be beyond what you're being. In other words, in the implicit unsaid region, and this is a phrase from John O'Donohue. If you all like, he's an Irish mystic, no longer with us, unfortunately. A wonderful body of work. Change happens in the implicit unsaid region. And to me, this is what's in the fields, Aref, that you're referring to, is that we have a moment that is just juicy and full of potential and possibility. And when we can stay in that and savor that and be curious to describe it between us, coach and client, then something miraculous happens. Ooh, love that. Being like the invisible companion to the clients. Lovely. Holistic creativity. So if I mispronounce your name, forgive me, but Roa Bazim's, the ability to pick the right question that would provoke the client more and more. What I'm responding to here is the ability to pick the right. There is no right or wrong in coaching. Take that pressure off of yourselves. There is no right or wrong. Sometimes I'll have a client who is talking along and they are doing the pattern of behavior that is exactly what they don't want to be doing. They know it's what drives their leadership team members crazy when they're communicating in this way. And he doesn't even know he's doing it with me. So I'll hold up my hand and I'll say something like, did you see the blue cows flying in the sky yesterday? Sometimes I have to ask it twice. He'll stop talking and he'll get a little smile on his face and he'll say, I did it again, didn't I? I said, yeah. So now let's rewind the tape. Where were you before you got on this monologue that is meaningless and not useful to you? And he said, you asked me a question that I don't want to answer. I said, now we're getting somewhere. What will create enough safety for you to answer the question is clearly disturbing you. And off we go, back into the coaching. So it's more about, here's how I would transform ability to pick the right. It's the ability to perceive the opening that will challenge the client to look more deeply. And in that opening, it may be a question. It might be a few words you heard that had a different quality of energy behind them that you simply reflect. And your tonality opens up the space. It might reflect those words and allow it to be in a moment of silence with the client and watch how their energy field, their physical being shifts. If you notice that it's starting to create an opening, it might be a simple question that says, what's happening? What are you experiencing right now? Allowing them to then bring some more language forward, because they've opened the door to something they've not allowed themselves to be witnessed before this moment. So have fun playing with that. All right. Well, good. I think we have a lovely backdrop. Okay, so I will, before I ask for everybody except for Qasim to turn off your videos, I want to see some eye nods, and the rest of you, I want to see some thumbs up that we recognize that we are all pledged to the ICF Code of Ethics and the standard of confidentiality. I'm very particular. That's what's said here today, stays here today, except for those that you give permission to see it. And that means another thing. You don't get to call Qasim up in an hour from now and say, hey, I've got an idea for you. Without asking for permission to do that, you don't get to do that. You're not in a coaching relationship with him. And you can't just expect him to defend his own boundaries. You need to respect those boundaries with him. So just let me see thumbs up from everybody that you will abide that confidentiality. There we go.
And Janet, as we're watching the demo, we are to identify areas of artful mastery, correct?
Mm-hmm. That's right.
I'm turning off my
a little tip for everybody. If you're not used to taking notes when a coaching session is happening, what I usually do is I will take my piece of paper. Let me just write this here and then I'll show it on the camera for you. I draw a line down the center, and on one side I write coach and on the other side I write client, and I jot notes. So I'm doing a little bit of a transcript. What was the question or the reflection the client made? What did the client respond? Sorry, the coach made. What did the client respond? And so I'm moving back and forth across the page. And then usually what I'll do on the line, if I really like a particular question, I'll put a little star there. Or if I see an opportunity that a different choice point was available, I'll put a triangle, which is the delta sign or a symbol for change. And sometimes I might write, ooh, shared chuckle, or, oh, energy change, energy shift or something, you know, just a short phrase to remind myself this is what was happening in that interaction. So that's a way to take notes so that when we come back to talk, you can bring some examples forward. All right. Qasim, I can't hear you.
That was very insightful. I don't think I need the session anymore. I got everything solved. I'm just kidding.
Well, I'm delighted to be back together with you. I've still been savoring our morning conversation, so thank you for that as well. And I am curious, is there a practice you have that allows you to move from one state of awareness, we've been in our heads and chatting a bit and reflecting on coaching, to move from that space into the client space?
Connection, I think, is unstable.
Do you want to go without your video?
I know it's okay. I don't mind, but I just got a little bit of unstable connection, but now I think it's good. So please.
You can hear me good now. Okay.
Yes, I do.
Well, maybe the technology was doing it for us. I was asking, do you have a practice that you use to move from one state of awareness where we've been in our heads to being client?
Yeah, we already started with difficult questions. So yeah, I did a little bit of practice to move from that special client, because it's at the end of the day, it's for the best benefit anyways. So yeah.
So an example might be taking a moment for a couple of deep breaths with either soft eyes or closed eyes, and let yourself get with you and forget about all those people out there, right? We'll put our fingers on a shade and pull it down and know it's just you and me.
I'm gonna just enhance your picture, so it's just the speaker view. I can just only see you now, so that's
Okay.
okay.
That's great.
Okay, good to go. Hit me.
Your joy is shining through.
Yeah.
All right. What is it that you want to explore together in our next 20 to 30 minutes?
Okay, so I have thought about it, and I have some beliefs, and there's some things that I have in my life that I believe in, and I have some beliefs about, and some of them, I don't know, are they just only beliefs? Are they more? Are they less? Are they just, and some of them are causing me some challenges in life. And sometimes I say, I want to change that belief. It's a belief, but to reach to a certain point. But then, do I want to reach that certain point? Sometimes I do. You know, the why, the reason, the value of you doing stuff. Sometimes it comes and goes, and then like, why go all through the double? Anyways, I mean, you're thinking that it's not affecting anyone anyway. So
You
just
have
like,
quite an internal dialogue with yourself, eh?
I have a lot. And I enjoy this conversation. Keeps me busy in the day.
Yeah.
So I would love to see this kind of belief, or just like, how can I be okay? Or if there's a way to just be okay and just accept that this belief might be there, it might not change, and just accept it as it is.
Mm-hmm. What's the physical and emotional experience you have of not accepting the beliefs just as they are?
Yeah. Some of the it's actually mixed. So it's this and that. So when I did not accept it, sometimes I feel I'm judging myself in a bad way. Sometimes I'm not happy with the decisions I make. Sometimes I feel blessed that I have this. It's like a roller coaster, but mostly when I don't accept it, it's like I'm not really happy with this, in a that can affect my mood for a day or two. It can affect my feelings.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but small of depression, just a little bit, and sometimes like, oh, I'm missing that. Oh, I want to have that. No, but it's like it's a bliss. I don't have that. So it's just all alone itself, it causes a lot of
Internal turmoil. Mm-hmm.
yeah.
I'm appreciating how much awareness you have that not only in the moment are you aware that you're in this dilemma, I'm going to use the word dilemma, right? Sometimes
Yeah.
joy, sometimes not happy, wanting something, not sure if you want something, and it lingers with you,
Yeah.
right? You keep thinking about it. And so what would be the quality of experience if you were able to be in acceptance about those beliefs?
Hmm. Hmm. What would be the quality of experience if I were to accept these beliefs? Um, I would say freedom. I would say I'll feel liberated. Um, I would say moving forward, and hmm, I would say yes. Most of these things are just the freedom, moving forward, and moving forward means it might leads to happiness, might lead to peace of mind, might leads to whatever that's a destination. But it's just moving forward to is the good place, or let's say the destination that everyone else needs in life, which is happy life and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
As you began to let yourself think about that and expressed the first word freedom and then feeling liberated, what did you notice change in your energy?
I noticed um, a little bit of hmm, what's the word? I'll say, okay, I don't know the word. Maybe I'll just describe it. Just like going a little bit like, what is the word? It's like in the opposite of hope. It's like because I know that, or I don't know that, like it's most probably like this belief, even if I was to change it, I don't know if it's changeable at all. So if like a magic button, if it changed, yes, I will feel liberated and everything. But when I said that, I felt the energy like I would feel that, but oh, it's not gonna happen. It most probably might not happen. So I just felt the energy. Oh,
So a belief came in that even in declaring what
yeah,
you want, this freedom and feeling liberated, belief came right in and said, but that's not possible.
yeah.
Hmm. How is that this thing we just experienced a metaphor for what you experience every day around your beliefs?
Yeah, almost.
And so we've got a territory we're exploring here, your relationship to beliefs and the turmoil that you're describing that happens for you. What is it that would be different if you could come to some acceptance and enjoy that freedom? What would be different in your life?
So let's say if I was able to to actually experience that and were able that no restrictions, no limitations, and really this happened. Um, I would experience, let's say, uh, hmm, I would say experiencing getting what you really want or acquiring, achieving something that you deeply, deeply like have or wish for. And it's gives that kind of sense of this achievement, this having, acquiring, this it might give some sort of satisfaction, like, okay, I got that. Now I have, I achieved it, I have done this.
Mhm.
And it's okay. So it's like, okay, now I can proceed to the next step or maybe the after. It's like it's not always just it's a block or something at the first step, never knowing that I can never go behind that wall or I can never see behind that wall or you know.
Mhm.
Or if I want to do that, I'm gonna lose everything else that I have. It's just like either this or that.
Right. So, and really know both and. So you
Yeah,
get caught in I would call it playing a game of ping pong.
yeah. Literally just going my way. Yeah, I don't like the judge. It's like following the ball. Like, where is it? Where is it?
Exactly. So what do you think is important for you to explore about this? You've laid out a big territory. I can see this is a pattern that happens in your life a lot for you. I've even watched your energy move up and down to this joyous face you have on right now to the hopelessness. Oh my gosh, I'm never going to get on the other side of these beliefs.
Mm.
And so in this time we have here, what aspect of this is important for us to deepen?
What aspect? Mm. Can you please elaborate more?
Sure. This is really about giving you an opportunity to declare what's valuable to you. And you have a lot of awareness of the dilemma, the turmoil. You have expressed some really key values: freedom, achievement, accomplishment, a longing perhaps even to get what you want. So I'm curious, in this time together, what aspect of that is most important for us to examine?
I would say the freedom mostly. I would say that this aspect, I think it's okay. So basically, I think it's the freedom that comes from the convincing, or let's say the knowing that, oh, this belief can be changed and it will be changed, that will lead me to that. Think about it. I'll say like, okay, this is a belief and this is the way it's gonna go and it's gonna lead and the steps behind it. So if I want to change that belief, this is the way, this is the steps, this is gonna be behind it. I'm thinking that at the end, both ways, they end at the same thing, which is having the freedom, achievement, and all of that. But I want to be able to know or actually see that, is this changing from that belief to this belief is like achievable or accessible or manageable, because I know for a fact this is the right way, but sometimes the right way is the hardest way, and sometimes you don't go through all of that. You just, yeah, this is fine, just like go with that, but it's not right.
I want to give you back some language you're using here. I'm hearing knowing,
Yes.
which knowing means certainty. Would that be a
Yeah.
possibility? Right? Having
Yeah.
some certainty. I heard seeing the path. So there's something about translating your knowing into steps. Would that be fair?
Yeah.
And there's something here, the accomplishment and achievement keeps coming back. And what is it you're really wanting that this belief is keeping you from?
I want to move forward. It's actually that. I want to be able to move forward in the right direction. I want to move forward, but I just see a lot of obstacles during the way, along the way. But the biggest of all is this belief changing. And I think this is the most biggest obstacle I see. I don't see the possibility. I don't know if this is changeable or not.
Got it. And you've also seen that how it changes, there's some variability, but it's all going to come back here. So therefore, I
Yeah.
must change the belief, right? So you've got some resolve. I got it. So as you were describing that, I was aware of my desire to have you describe or animate. I'm not quite sure what the right question is that's going to get for you. So feel free to modify this a little bit. What do you connect to? That is your place of inspiration, where you can think about that place on the other side of that belief and bring it to life. Like what fills it with joy? I know that's of key value for you. And I know you're an external processor. You told me that. So I want to give you that chance. What is it that is the description of connected to inspiration for you on the other side of the belief?
That was a large question. Okay.
What's the connection to inspiration about this thing you want on the other side of the belief?
Oh, okay. I would say, let's call it the fruits or the results. Let's say the results of that like that destination, that result, or reaching that destination, that goal. I want that, and what's the connection, that inspiration is that the results or production, or let's say the fruits of that. That's what really to want to go there.
And what kind of fruit is it?
Bittersweet fruit, to be honest. Okay.
Does it have a hard skin or a soft skin?
Soft skin.
And what color is it?
I'll say it's about whitish, a little bit beige, something like that.
What's the sensation in your mouth when you bite into the fruit?
It's something that's sweet. I don't know, but the word, the taste is innocent. I'm feeling the taste is that a taste, it's innocence. Yes.
Yeah.
Innocence, yeah.
What did that evoke as an insight for you when you said innocence?
What? I don't know. So another paradox now I have. Okay, so it's innocence, it's joy, it's like a baby, you know, it's like cute, it's these like all of this, but like I don't know, it's just yeah, but it feels like it's, I don't know, but I see like it's wrong for me to like, it doesn't deserve me. I don't deserve this.
Yeah. So there's a tension there. There's you can connect to the innocence of that juicy result, and in almost the same breath, I'm not worthy. I don't deserve it.
Or even maybe this fruit doesn't deserve it. Maybe it doesn't deserve to come to this life. It doesn't deserve to come to this destination, to this result, because I want to have this like fruit or something. Maybe it doesn't want to.
It doesn't want to be, it doesn't want to be liberated?
maybe this fruit doesn't want to be here. Like maybe it just like how do I say it?
So I'm noticing your time horizon is out into the future about this thing that you want. What are you telling yourself right now in this moment your capacity is to create what you want?
What do you think of the question?
Your capacity right now, today, this very moment, do you have what it takes to create what you want? Leave to the side for the moment whether it wants to be born. We'll hold that question.
Yeah.
Do you believe in you at having the capacity to create it?
With or without the belief happen?
Yeah, leave the belief on the side for a moment.
Yeah.
Let's go to your knowledge, right?
Yes.
Your knowledge and what you can see as the path. Do you believe you have the capacity to follow that path? I made you squirm, Qasim. What was that?
Yeah. Yeah. I think I would have the capacity in like not now. I would have the capacity in a different kind of situation, or let's say in better circumstances, let's say, I would have the capacity. And let's say if these things were available, like let's say everything went well, everything, like the belief is not here, that situations are the best and everything, they have the capacity, I'd say 60 to 70% yes. Even with all of that, that's yeah, it's yeah, just it is yes. Basically, it's I would have the capacity to do so. Yeah, if the belief is changed, if the circumstances are better, if the knowledge is not the other things. Yeah.
Okay. So what is the obstacle within you to considering changing that belief?
Is it realistic? Is it actually achievable?
How do
Is
you
it
define what's achievable and realistic?
I would say basically based on, let's say, experiences, based on listening to experiences or knowing about facts, actual facts or raw data that are proof. There is proof. And then because when there is proof and there is actual raw data and that you can like take or mend or something, that oh, it happened, okay, so maybe I can do it, maybe I can change it too, maybe I can play with it in my own kind of way. If someone like did it, I can do it. If that person, if that bird, if that whatever did, then yeah. But the thing is, I don't know that, and I don't know if I can find that as well, because I don't think that it was also achieved before. I'm not sure.
All right.
Maybe someone didn't. I'm not
So
sure.
what did you just do in your own thinking process there? You started with answering the question very practically, and then you worked your way all the way through to I don't know.
Yeah. 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 So I brought myself to that. So I moved, so I can search more on the practical, but I moved towards the emotions of belief that I can't. But maybe if I stick to practicality, maybe I can. Okay.
So it makes me curious what you're protecting. What are you protecting in you by holding up this belief as, it's not possible. I'm not worthy. I don't know. I'm uncertain. What are you protecting in you?
Oh, that's a very tough question. Okay, what am I protecting? Oh, I'm protecting a lot. I'm protecting a lot. I'll I'm protecting myself. I'm protecting my family. I'm protecting my friends. I'm protecting, um, I'll say 70 to 80% of things that are dear to me. I'm protecting the safety. I am protecting this joy. I'm protecting really most of my values, you know? Basically, mostly based, yeah, it's this life, based most of life, and I mean, what's the aspect that matters to me in this life? I would say 80% of my aspects in life that are important to me.
80% of your life is at risk by exploring this belief and whether it can be changed or not.
Yes, I believe so.
What do you think about that?
It is heavy, I would say. It is, I don't know. Okay. uh, some of my thoughts are saying like, okay, 80% really, you're being rather dramatic. Some say yes, but maybe you can build it again. Some say like, oh yes, you're right. So
You've chosen to bring this as your exploration for our coaching together. It's big. 80% of your life is at risk to explore altering this belief.
yeah.
If you look at that with me as a pattern in your life, what's your relationship to challenge?
Challenge?
Mm-hmm.
I don't like it. For me, I don't like challenges.
Yeah.
And yeah, they're to me they're intimidating unless I'm with a team or unless I'm even with a team. Sometimes I love cooperation more than challenging for
Mm-hmm.
me.
Mm-hmm.
I love like working together instead of against each other.
Mm-hmm.
Even though if it was, let's say, a healthy kind of competition or something, challenge. Yeah. And just by the way, to clarify, it's the 80% risk. Uh, Figuring out this belief can change or not. This is in one of the ways or one of the others.
Right, that juicy innocence.
Yes. Yes. And so yeah.
So you just described cooperation and being with others. What's possible for you to get the experience, get the data, get the knowledge if you were cooperating with others? And would you pursue it?
I don't know. It's
You're squirming again, Qasim. What the heck?
a lot of you thinking, man. You have a lot of good questions. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
And it may be that this is a useful place for us to pause for a moment and see, is that a question perhaps to take away, to reflect on? If I were, you can play around with this, if I were with others who have the experience and access to the data, would it make the journey possible to you? Would you be worthy of taking the journey
Yeah.
and accepting the challenge of the 80% to get the juicy innocence?
Yes. Yes. I would say definitely yes. But I don't know. I haven't tried it, but I don't know. Even if I tried, I don't know how much or the possibility of that happening as well.
And
It's like,
so that's a more important beginning then,
yeah.
right?
It's
So what's the question that you want to be with? Is it about the people, the process, the place, the timing? What would help you keep this conversation alive and move it forward a step?
okay. I feel my head is cooking right now. It's just like the pot is steaming. I feel there's a steam coming out of my head.
I love
Um,
how strong you are with metaphor, Qasim. It's fun.
um, I'll say so maybe more of process or additional ways or additional like methods that can help me get these data or that will like generating ideas for these facts. Where can I gather these or how can I gather these facts that will help me then more, okay, oh now I have some leads I can go and explore.
Yeah.
And maybe from at the end if things went well, I might have some data that I can use for myself. Yeah. Yeah.
And what happens now that you will declare as your learning or insight for our time together?
So it's look for actual data and experiences, and maybe you don't know. So okay, so it's all coming like, you know. Okay, let me just phrase it. I will say, as a you put this block before even exploring, or you gave up too soon. You gave up too soon, and you can explore more. Maybe there isn't. Maybe there is, but giving up and just standing here or just stop going forward won't change that. Maybe keep going. It might change. If it didn't, nothing has changed anyways. If it did, well, kudos. Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
So how's your sense of freedom now?
Well, it's lingering a little bit more. It's getting, you know, I can see like straws or like small ropes shining away, just, you know. Yeah, it's freedom, and it's that that challenge, or the burden of a challenge, or the burden of, against, like, but what if I did not find, you know, what if it did not, what if I this, what if, you know. And again, I just need to remind myself, even if it didn't, let's say if nothing has changed, what you're gonna lose? Some time and effort. Isn't it worth it? It's worth it. So yeah. So so yeah, it gives, suddenly it's not about the freedom anymore. It's just about, no, it's about freedom. It's like not losing that much, so you can feel free. You're not that burdened. So you're lighter than you think you are.
Yeah. And I think you mean to say that in I voice, not you voice, right?
Yeah, what?
Say that in the I voice instead of the you voice.
Okay. So uh I will say, okay, so I feel that I can go, and I feel light. I feel that I'm burdening myself and thinking heavier than I'm actually am. I am lighter. I can go and explore, even if nothing turns out, nothing, even if it's all dead ends. At least I tried, and I did not lose anything. It's just the time and effort, but it's worth it.
May I give you a really teeny tiny little challenge in your I statement?
Okay.
Say I choose rather than I can, and see what that does in your body.
Yeah, I know that. Okay. So, okay, I choose. I don't know why I'm laughing so hard. Okay, it's challenging me to say it. I don't know why. Okay. Okay. I choose. I choose to go forward. I choose to go and explore these other options. I choose to see how can I get these out of the way. I choose to. Yeah, I feel burdened. I don't have a choice. That's just kidding. Yeah, but let me do that again. I choose to. I choose to go and explore more because I deserve to know. I deserve to know.
Wow.
Yeah.
I choose to go and explore more because I deserve to.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you, Kasim.
Thank you. Wow. Thank you so much. Yeah. Amazing.
May we invite everybody back now?
Yeah.
Take a moment for yourself to maybe take a couple notes and
Yes.
be with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. You've been amazing. Thank you. I
You
really
bet.
thank you.
And we are all back together.
So if everyone can please turn their cameras back on. Qasim, I just want to recognize that you were such an authentic client. Thank you for bringing yourself, for sharing a piece of yourself with us. It's very powerful. I'm going to let you guys discuss. I'm going to mute myself.
Thank you so much.
Well, actually, it's for the community to discuss. What I would ask is that you direct your questions to me. If you have something that you want to ask Qasim, it's fine. And no, Qasim, you can say, not now. Let me think about it. Okay? Be a choice about what you want to respond to in terms of client questions.
Yeah.
So the floor is open. What did you see that you thought was either masterful or artful mastery together? And what questions do you have? Well, that's fine company to be in, Ms. Louise Hay. Thank you, Noah. And Ratana, yes, organic. I think one of the great joys on the learning journey of a coach is the moments when we can surrender attention to our mechanics. We've got enough practice. We've been diligent to train our technique, that we're not having to think about how to use the competencies and the framework that they produce. And we're able to naturally bring them forward in a very conversational way. Often when I'm mentor coaching with students, I'm inviting them to examine how do you bring your own personality back into your work? Because if you're trying to hold it at bay in order to meet some standard, you are using less than your potential, and you're also spending energy managing that, which means you don't have that energy available to be in the experience of the client. So the more you can allow yourself to practice your technique for sure, and in the moment with the client, set the tool bag down, trust that you've got what you've got inside of you, and be in relationship, be with who your client is being. And you're going to find that you'll be able to receive and perceive far deeper and wider than the more mechanical aspects of listening actively.
Hi, Janet. This is Arif.
Hi, Arif.
Thank you, Qasim. Thank you for bringing all yourself in. Janet, my question to you is, how did you manage to hold such a space for Qasim, which was very, very evident? He felt safe. He felt to bring in his whole self. How did you manage to keep it throughout the whole session?
What's your instinct from listening to the session and taking whatever notes you took? What are one or two things that you're like, oh yeah, I do that you already know?
I was struck by your empathy. And that's actually what's really resonated with me. And when you asked me this question, but I'm interested more to know what have you observed and what really helped you to keep out that space throughout the whole session, which is lasted more than 30 minutes.
So 2 parts to the question. What are some of the methods and what's going on inside of me as the coach that can sustain that throughout the session? Have I understood that correctly?
Absolutely.
Okay. So Aref is noticing empathy. I might add a little bit of compassion in there as well. My experience of Qasim all throughout the session is how strongly he holds this paradox and how much it lives in him. Every sentence he spoke, I could see him just broadening out again, this versus that, or on a spectrum, this end of it to that end of it. And my curiosity is what keeps me sustaining. So when I'm paying attention to how he's expressing, I'm looking for a pattern that's repeating, because the key to his freedom is going to live in how he chooses to shift his relationship to the pattern. And if I can provide him with questions that help him keep exposing the pattern, both in his words, and a few times I had him check in, what are you experiencing as you hear yourself say this right now? All of those methods of being with the pattern of his being and being curious about his being is acknowledging. It's a form of artful acknowledgement. I'm with him in full acceptance and full unconditional curiosity on his behalf. And I think for me, staying connected to connection or to curiosity is like an artesian well. If I can stay almost in a sense of wonder. I was so delighted when he said innocence. Oh my gosh. Right? We were playing with the metaphor, and that's what came out as the way he was savoring it in his mouth. It was innocence. My little kid was like having a blast with that. So once I struck wonder, we could have gone on for another hour together. It was very wonderful. So I think, or if there's a sustaining presence with who the client is being, is about allowing ourselves to be with them and trust that we are managing our container together as a partnership. And it was also very important that we spent the quality of time we did building the session agreement. It probably was a good 18 minutes before we were ready to move into the exploration at a deeper level. And the more patience I had with him to let him flush that out completely, that also is what builds safety for that deeper exploration that needs to occur.
Yeah, thank you, Janet. The other thing that strikes me is using the metaphor, the fruit, and describing the fruit. Then when he say elephant, innocence, the taste of innocence, the whole thing have shifted. And then he introduces the but, which is he's going back to disbelief. I didn't notice you're shaken in your position by continuing and dancing with him on the way he wants to take the conversation. Can you speak a little bit more about that?
Well, so just to reference back again to the first thing that I was noticing, at a pattern for him of always being in this paradox. It didn't surprise me at all that he'd take himself to the place he wants to be and immediately pull himself back. What I thought was quite useful for him, insightful for him, is that when he came to innocence, he got to worthiness. And being worthy is a fundamental human shadow belief. So I'm bringing shadow in here in a Jungian psychology kind of way, that all human beings are on a path of development to believe we're worthy, to believe that we matter, to believe that we're enough. This all leads to belonging, which is a core component of human motivation. So when Qasim brought that forward for himself and he was able to say, I'm not worthy to have this thing that I want, he broke the spell. So of course we're going to stay with it. And now let's see, what does he see as possible, which is, I'm pretty sure I said a question close to that at that point, because he'd opened the door. It's like, okay, he said it. The worst thing possible got said, and he didn't die. I'm just teasing you a little, Qasim. But it does feel like that a little bit, right? Inside of us, when we're working with something that's so fundamental to the human condition, when we say it and our coach doesn't run away, it's like, oh, okay, well, maybe it's not as bad as I thought it was. Let me see what's now available to me as a result.
I think it's brilliant because the conversation was going towards, resolution. Then after the but, that did not change you. That did not, you still held that space for him to be whatever he wants to be. And that's amazing. Thank you. Thank you, Janet.
Yeah, pleasure. All right. What else do we have here? Anybody can take off their camera. Take off their microphone or mute. Yeah. I think there is a particular skill in both the MCC level of the original core competency model for competency 5, active listening, which is now in the new model competency 6, listening actively, that talks about noticing energy shifts. And I want to say a bit more about this because our artfulness starts with our ability to recognize that something is shifting. So if you are giving all of your energy and attention to the words, trying to understand them mentally, you will miss the energy shifts. I don't do that. Most of the time, I have no idea what the client is talking about. And I will let you in on a little secret that I gave Qasim, which is you don't have to give me any details. I wanted you all to see a session where there were no circumstances or situational information being shared. That was all his to retain. I did that on purpose so that you can see coaching is happening at the relational level. What is the client experiencing in whatever that situation is that they're wanting some resolution for? Something wants to be revealed, something to be addressed so he can move forward to something that he wants. I don't need to know what those are. He does. And my ability to stay in the curiosity and fleshing out the session agreement for him to know, okay, that's my path. I got my success measure, freedom, liberating, feeling liberated. So I have a way to check in with him and see how he's doing. But ultimately, he's behind the wheel in the car and he has his foot on the accelerator and the brake and turns the wheel when he wants to. I'm along for the ride. And I might say, hey, there's a turn up ahead. What do you think about making that turn? No, I want to go left. Okay, great, let's go left. Whatever it is. And how do I know to insert myself? That's often a question clients will, or coaches will ask about. How do you decide when to interrupt? And what's the moment you're paying attention to when you offer a question that's evocative or provocative? Energy. I'm watching when he slows his pace down. I'm experiencing when the tone inflection in his voice is different. Several times in this session, he was either noticing the pattern again. Oh, I just took myself out. As I'm telling you about that, I'm also realizing I don't have hope that is possible. Ah, there it is again. I can't predict that, and I can't assume that I know what his change in energy means. All I can do is give him an opportunity to notice it and give voice to it. And then he can say, oh, that's useful to me. Let's keep going. The energy shifts are the indicator that something we're doing is producing another narrative inside for the client. We can't stop there. We need to give him the space to explore the narrative. What's the truth of it? It's the evidence that supports it or doesn't, as the case may be. So super important, much more important than the words.
Dan, a quick question for you.
Mm-hmm.
I was watching how safe and light the atmosphere seemed on the one hand, but also how challenging and intense it was also. Mm-hmm. You've made some comments already about observing the the energy shifts and such. Could you expand on how we can create that kind of environment as coaches as it's appropriate? That's a challenge for me.
Yeah, it's a beautiful question, Alan, and I probably won't be able to do it complete justice, but I'll give you a couple of thoughts. The more intense and meaningful and big and overwhelming a particular session agreement is, the more I will hold deeper and deeper levels of acceptance of it. I could feel how much resistance Qasim had set up for himself. And he was not going to back down from that resistance just because we were having a coaching session. So in some ways, it was really important to make him right for it. So there's a certain integrity necessary in the partnership that Dr. Michael Carroll talks about this a lot in his work on ethical maturity, which I just think is some of the very best ethics deepening we can do as practitioners. I'm just sad he's not teaching anymore, but lots of material to read. And clients will always test us. Can we take what they're going to dish out? And I found in my own work that the more I can sink more deeply into what they're saying, as miraculous and wondrous as can be, and ask the next layer of curiosity on their behalf, the more the client realizes, I've got this. I've got this. And even though it was 80% of his life and that was a big risk, he said, I'm worth it. He's unlocked the paradox for himself. Now that happens because I didn't give up on him, right? It wasn't too big. I named it. I said, you gave us this big, huge territory. What's the piece? What's the piece here that's most important for now, for right now, not the future projection? And he said, freedom. Okay, we have our marching orders. We know the place we can go. I didn't discount all the rest of it. It was fine. It was there. But where will we navigate together? What's our compass? And that makes it possible for him to drop into the next layer of vulnerability. So those are some preliminary thoughts, more there, I'm sure. And I think with time, we all begin to realize that we're the same as human beings. We have yearning. We want for our families and our communities and our society for things to be better. It feels overwhelming and hopeless sometimes because it just feels like there's so much need. And the only place we have any authority over is our own experience. So I think that the principle of sovereignty, which underpins my coaching work and the work we teach at Invite Change, is how do we help a client restore their sense of self-ruling, where they are at choice and they understand what is driving the choices they make at the level of their values and the essence of who they are as a human being. When we give people back their sovereign choices in their life, they stop feeling a victim to the circumstances. And I think my ability to be in deep acceptance of whatever shows up from the client is actually rooted in that philosophy. What was the name again, please? Oh, Michael Carroll, Carroll.
Janet, I really enjoyed your coaching presence in general, just the way you handled everything, but I especially enjoyed witnessing those energy shifts with Qasim, especially when you kind of echoed back to him what he was saying, when he was saying, that whole 80% of his life, worth was on the line. When you said it back to him, his face just completely changed. So that was very interesting to see. And I especially enjoyed when you challenged him with the use of I choose versus I can. Because there was another energy. He couldn't stop laughing. He even said it. I don't know why. I can't stop laughing. So, but it was so empowering. My assumption is that Qasim suddenly felt empowered. Like he went from a place of vulnerability to a place of empowerment. And to witness that, it was just wow. So thank you.
There were two empowering language techniques I was using there, first person versus second person. When you hear a client shift out of I voice into you voice, you know you're in vulnerable territory, right? They're right on the edge of something and they're just like, I don't know if I'm going to cross that line or not. So if the space is safe enough, you're able to say, let's say that again and put it in the I voice. And so that's empowering language, as is the use of choose rather than need to or can or try. It's important is another alternative to choose. I prefer choose because just in my experience, I have found that when people make that declaration, their level of commitment is substantially higher. I don't know why. So, you know, something, language lives in the body. So some way that word seems to be highly energizing for people. All right. Well, thank you all. I appreciate the opportunity to be with you. And we have time for maybe one more question, unless you have some closing you need to do for the session.
I just want to share something.
Yeah, go ahead.
So so basically, I don't know. Okay, so I'm still, by the way, still steaming pot in here. You all invited. Please come in. Have a quick bite. They notice a lot. I can see being in the coachee position. I did not. I was like to completely in this session. I was completely in that zone. I'm like missing. Wow, you're really good. I mean, I know you that you're really good, and I felt that and everything. But I was like, I need to watch the recording, so I need to see it because from a perspective, you know, from like helicopter view. I mean,
Right.
that's really amazing. And also me as a coach, it's really important to know more and be more skilled at, or be better at the third level of listening, and how you actually notice it. What's your keywords, or what's the keynotes that you take for your third level of listening? Like, is it the energy, is it the shift, is it the voice, is it the words? I usually focus more on words sometimes, but sometimes I feel like I don't know. So here's a question. Sometimes when I coach, I do things based on how I feel. I'm a lot of like, I'm so much in the feeling, and just like, I don't notice that I'm doing that, or I'm keeping the safe zone. I don't notice that I'm doing this. I'm doing it right. And when I ask someone like Coach Reem or someone who's a higher level, I say, you did it right. I said, yeah, but when I did it, I didn't realize it. I just like, I was so much in the zone. So would there be like, I would love sometimes to feel it and see it. It's like, oh, I can see now. Is there a way to feel and see it?
There is. So a really good practice to strengthen the ability to feel it and see it is to work with transcripts. So have a session transcribed fully. When you've experienced a session with someone, I record everything. My clients get a recording of every session I do. And they know that sometimes I go back and review, and sometimes I'll take it to a coaching supervisor or a mentor coach because I'm deepening my skill. It's always for their benefit. And so when I have a session that I can feel like, ooh, something was going on here, I'll get it transcribed. Now I have it up on my screen. I'm listening and I'm reading the words. I pause the recording when I see this client said something right here that I stepped over. I did not hear it. I didn't notice it. I went someplace else. That's about me. Who was I being in the moment of that session that I missed that? And the same for the things that were like, oh, I so got that piece. And I'm so glad I let go of those other things that he said, because this was the juicy bit and it really worked. So it's about being a student of your own work. And transcripts can give you a little bit of distance so that you can hear the subtleties when you listen to the recording, but you're also seeing the actual exchange itself and the cause and effect. It's a more detailed way than what I had you try to, all of you experience in writing notes. But that's a really good technique to see what you're asking about.
That's amazing. I'll do that. Thank you so much. And really thank you for the session. It was really
You
awesome.
are so very welcome.
Thank you. And yeah. And thank you everyone for bearing with me and listening to me and all of that. Thank you.
You were brilliant. Not to worry.
Any other insights or learning from today that anyone would like to share?
Hello.
We hear you.
Hi. Yeah. I just want to say I truly appreciate this session, Janet, and I really, again, appreciate your presence with the client, fully being there with the client and not needing to go anywhere, you know, just trusting and staying there and really just reflecting the experience in the moment and what can happen from there. I mean, those two powerful questions: what are you protecting in you? And what's your relationship with this challenge? And those two questions coming from just being there with the client, actually not having to move anywhere. So I just want to say that I appreciate that. And I guess I also enjoyed watching you, Janet, your expression, your eyes when the client says the word innocence, you know, and your energy as well. So thank you so much. Thanks.
You're very welcome. Well, that you saw that means you're ready to bring more of you into your coaching, Noor, and have fun with your clients. My goodness. DeWitt Jones is a National Geographic photographer, and he talks about falling in love. And he says in the recording, you know, I realize it's not really a business term, but it is. We're human beings. We are in the human being business. So find the place in you that can fall in love with your clients, not in an amorous way, but in love with the humanness of who we are and what we're all seeking and yearning for. And that will bring out your own version of whatever joy and compassion and empathy is for you. This is such a privilege we have to give of ourselves in this way and to be useful to another human being. It's a real honor to do this work, and thanks for being with you all. It's been a blast, and I'll circle back with you because I would like to talk about whether I could share the recording and the debrief with some of my students who are in our advanced trainings. I think this would be very useful. So if you're up for it, Qasim, you get to decide, but I'd like to circle back and see if that would be okay.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Of course.
Super. Janet, the word pleasure is not enough, but yes, you challenged us. You gave us new perspectives to consider, and I'm sure you will be on the top of our minds, maybe for the next at least 10 to 12 sessions, I'm sure. Okay, everybody will be trying to soak this in and apply it. And I can't wait to you know, take whatever I can that I learned from you today and apply it myself. I'm so I feel so honored that you were able to join us today, and I'm sure I'm speaking on behalf of everybody in this Zoom room. So we appreciate you and we appreciate your time.
Well, very wonderful. Be well and safe, and I will see you on the airwaves, I'm sure sometime soon.
Yeah. Yeah.
Take good care, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye. All right, if there aren't any other